Hey there, this is Darren LaCroix. Hey, I'm doing like a Tanya Pluckrose video here. Anyway, do you know your numbers? If you're in business and getting your message out there, marketing your message is important to you, you gotta know your numbers. Now, for me personally, I was doing okay about a year ago. I thought, hey, it's working. I know it's a number of people you send to your page and how many people convert and the way things were going. And whenever I sent out my newsletter or sent a blast, everything was working. Up until about a year ago when things started changing. And I love my list. It's important. It's my number one asset, but it just stopped converting the way it used to. And so we looked at like the events we were trying to fill. Well, we'll have a web page where we send people, hey there, Johnny and Jeffrey, thanks for joining me live. We send people to a page and I call it the offer page. So that's a page where you let people know what's the problem, how you're going to help them solve, what's your solution. So whether it's buying a product, so the point at the bottom of the page is there's a button there where they buy your product, they sign up for the event, they hire you as a speaker. So the offer page is important, very important, but there's so many aspects and you and I need to know our numbers and I didn't. Guilty. It was working. It worked for a long time. It worked for 10 years. Well, it's changed. So now I'm going back and I'm actually having to sit down and look scientifically with my geek diva, Vicky, to make sure we're doing it right. So we're going back and look at our numbers and why aren't we filling the events? Well, number one, how much traffic are we sending to that page? Did our traffic go down? So what's the number of people we're sending, and is it the right people that we're sending to the page? So as a result of realizing, hey, we weren't getting the results that we wanted, we weren't getting enough people to come to our events, like what's the problem? So it could be the offer page is just horrible. We could be sending a ton of people to the page and the offer is not compelling to the audience that we've sent it to. So now I've stepped back and I'm reevaluating everything, and I use ClickFunnels. I love ClickFunnels because it shows me the whole funnel and how in a funnel, let me show you this. Even though it's a horrible funnel, but there's pages that we're trying to get people to go to opt in and then go to one level to the next level to the next level. So if I can see I get 400 people to that front page and only 2 people are giving us their email to get to the next page. So our goal is to get them to here for some reason. So I got 400 people and only 2 people are converting. Well, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. 2 things. Number one, we could be sending the wrong 400 people, or this step right here sucks. If this step sucks, if we got 400 people to go to that page and only 2 people convert and get to the next page, I know that somewhere in here is the problem, or it's here. If you're into marketing, if you're into building your business, whether it's selling product or getting coaching clients, how much traffic are you sending? And this is ironically a real number. I spent with Facebook ads, let's see, I think I spent, I have to go back and check, but $500 to send 500 people to an offer page, and 2 people were like watching the webinar. So it was a freebie. So I'm paying $500. I get 500 people to that first page, to the offer page, to give me their email address to watch a webinar. So the whole point is to get them to watch a free webinar. So I don't know how to watch it. So there's me, little balding boy. Get them to watch a free webinar. So I only had like 2 people or 2% of the people actually even give me their email address. So either one, the problem is I'm sending the wrong traffic, or more likely the offer page isn't working. So what I'm going to go back and do is change the offer page. I'm going to put a video on that to try and get people more engaged. And when I looked at the video in the webinar, the drop off was kind of surprising. Well, here I am, loving marketing. I love marketing. I'm a good marketer. And I never took the time to look at my own numbers. And I looked at the webinar, and the webinar shows me clearly when people drop off. So I need to change the webinar because that will help bring me, because then the webinar's goal is to bring people to the next step, which is to buy or to come and join me at Stage Time University. And just like in a story when we're coaching people, we say create and test, create and test. I'm learning this even more in marketing now. Create and test, create and test. So I've been playing. My problem is I love the numbers and I love experimenting. So I've got like 6 different funnels and I'm experimenting with YouTube ads versus Facebook ads to see which one's going. But it wasn't until I stepped back and said, okay, I really need to know the numbers. I can't just create a Facebook ad and then expect it's going to work. It doesn't work that way. So if you're into marketing, if you want to build your business, you've got to take some time to look at the numbers. How many people, and then again, at each step, this is why I love this, I'm learning. It doesn't give you all the secrets, but at which step are people dropping off dramatically? And let's go back and fix that. So in my webinar one, I'm going to go back and look and create a video on the webinar page before people sign up, so I can frame the webinar better as to what they're going to get out of it. And that might create some more engagement. It might take that 2% and jack it up to get it to 20% is my goal. And then the 20 out of the 20%, maybe I can get 5% to sign up. But then I can justify how much I'm spending because I know the outcome or the income, I should say the income that I'm getting. So you gotta know your numbers. I was oblivious, my own fault, that, gee, why aren't people signing up? Well, is it the page? Is it the ad? Is it the email that sends them to the page? There's so many factors, but you and I, if we really want to build our business, we've got to know our numbers. And 2% is horrible. But now I know clearly there's a problem, and now I got to go back and tweak it and test it some more. So live your life by example. Live your life worth watching. Inspire by example. Tell your story and help people. By the way, a few days ago, I think it was last week, I did one about my failures and flaws and firsts. And failures, or I should say my flaws, my issues. I talked about some of them, and after the fact, I was like, oh, there's 3 more. So here's 3 more of my personal flaws. Number 1, so if you want to go watch the other one, I think it's labeled failures or flaws. And so number 1, I'm dyslexic. Never actually been diagnosed, but I live here in Las Vegas. And I had lived here for about 4 years, and I drove down the strip, and Terry Fader is very famous. He's got an unbelievable voice. He's a ventriloquist, and he's got an unbelievable singing voice, and he's funny. And for years, I was driving up and down the strip, and somebody said, Mark Brown actually used to share the stage with him at schools around the country before Terry became famous. And I said, Terry Fader? I said, his name is Terry Factor. What are you, crazy? It's Terry Factor. And I'm like, just look at the board. Oops. In my brain, Fader isn't a word, so it adds a C in my brain. So reading's been challenged, so I got to find a way to overcome that. It was really cool to find out that Richard Branson's dyslexic. So sometimes when you got that struggle, there's other ways, there's other aspects to get over the problem, around the problem, through the problem. So if Richard Branson can do it, I can do it. So I listen to audibles, that's my thing. All right, so what are my other 2? Conflict. I am not a fan of conflict. You can even ask my staff of this. I just don't, it's not good, but it's me. I shy away from it. I don't like those tough conversations. I force myself to have them, and I'm really awkward during them. And then here's the new thing that even inspired this. The new issue that I have. I have what's called tonsil stones. I didn't even know that was a thing. And one of my family members pointed this out, and it gives you horrible breath sometimes. And what it is in your tonsils, you have these little gaps that just collect the bacteria. Then all of a sudden, boom, it's called a tonsil stone. So I was like going online researching this, and I had it happen before when I choked up something. I was like, oh, what's that? Oh, it smells disgusting. Well, that was one of the stones that it just sits in there, and it's nasty. And so I'm going online and learning how to deal with that. After 52 years, I never realized I had that as an issue. I was always super conscious of my breath, but I didn't realize what one of the causes was. It's interesting learning about it and seeing the different ways to get the tonsil stones out. So one more thing to take care of. Anyway, that's it for today. It's a longer one, but I had those other flaws. I want to tell you all of them. Anyway, tell your story, inspire by example. Seriously, someone needs to hear your story. Someone wants to overcome the adversity that you've already overcome. So get out there, help people. See you tomorrow.